We're back. Technical difficulties once again on the show. Sorry about that. Thanks for letting us know that the sound wasn't working, but hopefully we have that fixed now. If you can't hear us, let us know, please. We appreciate that. Anyway, welcome to another show, and thank you for watching. I'm Todd T. Riley.
I'm Scott Johnston.
I'm Angie Muchmore.
And we are The Sound Effect. Of course, can't forget our man Doug behind the scenes. Thanks for everything you do there, Doug. Appreciate you helping out with all this stuff. And tonight we have a very special guest in studio with us, known for his work with Candlebox, RLM-redlightmusic, Apollo, Under Fire, and Lotus Crush. Singer, guitarist, songwriter, producer, Peter Klett. Thank you very much for being here, Pete. Welcome to the show, and thanks for your patience, man. We appreciate you.
It's my pleasure. No worries.
So coming up a little later in the show, we're going to be talking to Peter about the music that he's doing now, the past, the future, and just everything that's going on. You got a recording studio, City Session Sound. I want to definitely talk to you about that. And don't forget, we got a social media poll, which is going to be over probably in about 15 minutes from now. The poll is, which Pink Floyd album is better, Dark Side of the Moon or The Wall? So put your vote in, let us know why, and we'll be talking about that shortly.
Yeah, but first let's get into some music and entertainment news.
So singer Aaron Lewis, in a recent solo show, alluded to the possibility of a Staind comeback. Later cut his performance short after cussing the audience out.
Yeah.
Why?
That's not really a good thing. Lewis brought up the prospect of a Staind comeback during his solo concert this past weekend in Oklahoma City while preparing to play an acoustic version of the band's 2001 mega hit, It's Been a While. Aaron told the crowd, "So what if I told you that Staind is coming back next year? Might I be lying? But I might be now. Even in live shows this year, I can't say for sure. You never know." Well, why would you even say something like that if that weren't the case?
Yeah, usually kind of teasing the crowd a little bit, I guess.
So why'd he chew him out or cuss him out?
Well, what ended up happening is he was strumming his guitar. He singled out some audience members and just cussed them out, asking them to shut up. He played a few more seconds and stopped entirely, cussed out the audience while saying he's good and he doesn't have to do this. Then he walked over to the mic and went off on the audience once more for taking all night and threatened to possibly end the show. He continued playing but stopped again, slammed his guitar down, and stormed off stage. Last month, Lewis walked off stage after shouting, "I don't know how to speak Spanish, I'm American," when asked by a concert goer to sing Spanish.
Yeah, now, sounds like an attitude to me. I saw the video from it from this last weekend.
Is it as bad as what I just said?
Yeah, he was seriously going off on the crowd.
You don't have to talk bad about another musician.
I've seen Aaron live.
I've seen
acoustically, and it was good.
Yeah, he sounded good, and he was getting going and stuff, and some people were yelling some stuff from the crowd, and then he just stopped and started cussing them out, and he got really angry, and then they kept screaming out some stuff, and then he stopped and cussed them out some more, and really went off on the crowd. Started playing, stopped in the middle of it, walked over, just dropped his guitar on stage, and walked off stage. Needless to say, people were not happy about that. So.
Yeah, you got to have some thick skin, I guess.
Yeah, I'm sure you've experienced some stuff from
some hecklers
being up on the stage before. And
well,
not
when we toured with Metallica, we had to take some abuse.
Yeah, I could see that. What a combination of bands that is.
That'd still be a killer show, though.
Well, we only got it because Lane Staley flaked out on the tour, so they couldn't do it. So we got the spot, which was great.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Had a good time. But yeah, we had to dodge a few pint bottles and sandals,
Those crazy Metallica fans, man.
But by the end of the show, they were like, "Oh, okay.
Yeah, these guys are actually pretty good.
Yeah, they're not too bad. It's not just far behind, especially when he played Arrow. They're like, okay.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We got more tunes than this that you guys should be listening to. It's just the radio kind of molds it to how they want to present things sometimes,
Yeah. Speak into the mic. So Rush, Wandering the Face of the Earth, the official touring history book, is due in October. Inside Editions has set an October 15 release date for the book, which includes a foreword from Primus's Les Claypool and an afterword by the Police's Stuart Copeland. And it covers the 40-year-plus touring history of the band. The 304-page hardcover was compiled by Skip Daly. He's a Rush expert for over 30 years, and Eric Hansen, who started the popular Power Windows Rush fan site at 2112.net. The official book description states Alex Lifeson, Geddy Lee, and Neil Peart performed together for the first time to an audience of 11,000 people in 1974. 40 years later, their last tour sold over 442,000 tickets. This is the story of everything in between. This is the story of Rush, fondly known as the Holy Triumvirate. Rush is one of the top bands to shine throughout rock and roll history. Wandering Off the Face of the Earth covers Rush's touring career from their humble beginnings as a Toronto area band, playing middle school gymnasiums to the rise of one of the world's most sought-after live acts, selling out massive arenas around the globe. This book includes every set list, every opening act, and every noteworthy moment meticulously researched and vetted by the band themselves, along with spectacular, never-before-seen imagery. This is the must-have tour compendium for Rush fans, and that's pretty cool. That's a lot of digging back into history. A lot of history. So, speaking of that, I noticed you have a Rush signed album from Alex Lifeson in your studio, right?
Yes. Yeah, we were lucky to tour with them.
Fly By Night?
I had told him one day on tour that Fly By Night was the first song that I'd really learned as far as chordal stuff, And so, we got home, I don't know how long ago after, or how long it had been since I'd been home, but a package showed up at the house, and I opened it up, and there was this wonderful note on the actual vinyl record cover. It was amazing. So I have that up at the studio on the wall.
Sweet.
Prized
Cool.
possession.
Very cool.
So this week in history, we have 1967. Pink Floyd released their first single, Arnold Lane.
That's cool.
I don't know if you remember that one or not. 1971, Jim Morrison leaves for Paris, reorienting himself emotionally and creativity, and he had a jail sentence that he was dealing with back in Miami.
That was a little Miami incident that he was trying to avoid.
He'll never return to the U.S. 1997, Beatle Paul McCartney was knighted by the Queen. And this week, again, March 11th, this week in history, the internet turns 30.
Can't believe it, man. Doesn't seem like it's been that long.
Yeah, well,
seems like it's been around forever, really.
Probably what happens to people our age. Everything seems to be forever at this point. March 13th, in 1965, Jeff Beck replaced Eric Clapton in the Yardbirds. 2004, Luciano Pavarotti performed his last opera in the New York Metropolitan Opera's Tosca. I'm sorry. I don't know. You ever listen to opera ever?
Not really, no.
Not to say that I necessarily.
Pavarotti was pretty darn. He was top of.
This would be one of the guys you would
better
study.
than him, but
yeah,
he had the.
He's the guy that went up and did it or whatever, March 15th, 1945, Billboard published a first album chart, King Cole Trio #1. Is that right?
1945 was the first time, huh? How high did you guys ever make it on that?
7.
Number 7. Cool.
Just 7.
Should have been higher.
Yeah, it would have been cool to be number 1, but I'll take 7.
Everybody.
7. I wouldn't
top
argue.
40 is beat.
Yeah, top 40, top 20, even just top 10.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
1968, a Life magazine called Jimi Hendrix the most spectacular guitarist in the world.
Understandable.
For Life magazine to do that, I mean,
It's a pretty good honor.
Nowadays,
It's
yeah.
definitely a good honor. A lot of people claim Hendrix to be a major influence and stuff that are guitar players and
Stevie
everything.
Ray
So.
Vaughan wanted to be Jimi Hendrix.
Right.
Right.
Which, that's not a bad thing.
No, not at all. So what we got going on birthdays here, Ange?
So we have March 11th, the special happy birthday shout out to your daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
Avery, how old is she?
She's 6.
6. That's an adorable age.
She is adorable, man.
She
I
is.
saw the
Yeah.
picture you posted. She's so cute.
See all
She
the
is
pictures.
cute.
Yeah.
She knows it.
That's a good age. She knows it.
As a dad, he's going to, and I'm going to start
boy.
bringing out the shotgun when she gets older, right?
For sure.
Yeah. We'll see.
Also on March 11th, the twin brothers Benji and Joel Madden, guitarist and singer of Good Charlotte, turned 40. 40.
Right?
Time goes by fast.
It sure does.
Sure does. Yeah.
I still feel like I'm 20. I'm just saying.
I feel like
Well,
I'm-
you act like you're still
Yeah,
doing
so
it.
that must be the difference.
I have
That's
no
not
idea.
a bad thing, though.
No, it's a
Not
great
bad
thing.
Yeah.
I always hear about the Angie and energy.
Yeah.
I like to say
It is a
I'm,
thing.
I'm 25
good.
with 26 years experience.
Right. That's great. Also, March 12th, singer-actress Liza Minnelli is 73.
I didn't even know she was still alive.
73.
It's still, it's
Still kicking, man.
Still kicking at 73. Also, James Taylor on March 12th, 71.
Wow.
He's getting up there, too.
Yeah,
I just
absolutely.
don't ever picture James Taylor as being old. Yeah. You know what I mean?
He looks the same. Just, he always, it's one of those timeless guys.
He's got a secret. I just know it.
he's got a good doctor.
Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed he was that old, though.
No, definitely. Also, March 13th, record producer, musician, composer, and film producer Quincy Jones turned 86.
Wow.
86.
That's incredible.
It really is.
86.
His career spans 6 decades in the entertainment industry with a record 80 Grammy Award nominations.
Wow.
How could you
Fantastic.
How many
remember
did he
that
actually
long?
win? Do we know
28.
28.
that? Wow. That's pretty impressive.
Plus, he also got a Grammy Legend Award in 1992.
Fair enough.
That's a awesome honor. That's a high
Heck
honor.
yeah.
Yes, he's best known for his work with Michael Jackson and the man behind We Are the World. Oh, I used to love that.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the guy behind all that, so put that together.
Yeah, for sure. Singer Mike Murrow?
Murr.
Murr.
Suicidal tendencies.
Yes.
Correct, yeah.
He threatened he was going to kill our singer on
Was
the
he?
Metallica tour. He literally came looking for him.
Wow. It was serious.
Well, I
It was
guess
serious.
the nickname Psycho Mike fits, huh?
Right? Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't
He
know.
turns 56, huh?
Yeah,
56.
yeah, turns 50. I really love the stuff he did with Infectious Groove. That was
Okay.
that was really cool. It was,
I want to know what
kind of a
what
metal
caused him
funk.
to want to go kill him.
Oh, I don't
You
know.
remember?
He was just mad because we had taken that spot, and so they were actually going on before us.
Oh,
He didn't like that.
You know, just,
But their drummer was
Things
totally
we fight
cool,
about.
and spacing his name, the bass player for Metallica now,
yeah.
Rob.
Right.
He was way
Right,
cool
right.
to us
Yeah,
too.
he's super cool. Yeah. Well, cool. Let's check out what events are going on, and we shall talk to our guest. I believe the word you're looking for is Trujillo. Or Trujillo?
True.
I don't know how to pronounce that, to be honest with you.
He was cool.
But yeah, he's a great bass player. So the weekend of May 3rd through the 5th, the 9th annual edition of Florida's biggest rock experience, Welcome to Rockville, returns to Jacksonville's Metropolitan Park for a massive 3-day weekend with over 50 bands. It's going to feature must-see headlining acts from some of the biggest names in rock, including Tool, Korn, Rob Zombie, Incubus, Prodigy, Shinedown, and Judas Priest. That'll be really cool.
That's a
That's a great
It's
one.
not really Judas Priest though, is it?
It is Judas Priest.
No.
Well, I guess how you consider
You're
it.
missing both guitar
Yeah,
players.
they
Well,
are
yeah,
missing
that's-
both
that's-
And the
guitars.
bass player, I think, and the drummer.
Not here.
So I guess it would just
Rob.
should be Rob Halford and Sons.
Probably.
If you're interested in Welcome to Rockville, go to welcometorockvillefestival.com and check out some information and get yourself some tickets and go to that show.
Cool. So we got some concerts coming up around the Tampa Bay area, around this area right now. Check them out. You got Candlebox playing in Orlando, tomorrow actually. Janice Live on the 14th.
Yeah,
We got
Thursday.
Pablo Cruz, Steve Miller Band, Charlie Daniels Band, Jackie Ivanko. If you guys know who that is.
I'm not really familiar with that.
Yeah. I was about to say my mom turned me onto that, and I'm just going to say it. That doesn't sound really good when I say that, though, does it? Okay, so I'm
My
gonna
mom
leave that
turned me
alone,
on to Elvis, man. I'm cool with that.
All right, well, I don't know. I guess my brain was thinking quicker than it should have. Buckethead, Travis Tritt, Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band, Elton John, Buddy Guy and Little Feat.
That'd be great. Buddy Guy's awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of bands coming around right now, so you guys are going to want to go check out their websites, check out the venues near you, and just see when they're playing in your area.
Yeah, so let's welcome our very special guest in the studio tonight. He's known for his work with Candlebox, Red Light Music, Apollo Under Fire, and Lotus Crush. He's a singer, guitar player, songwriter, producer, Mr. Peter Klett. Thank you very much again, Pete. Once again, it's a pleasure having you here tonight. Thank you so much, and thanks for your patience, man. Sorry about the technical issues we've been running across here, so appreciate that, man. So let's start from the beginning. When did you first pick up a guitar and start getting into music?
So I was at summer camp, and someone had a nylon string guitar, so they taught me "Smoke on the Water," of course, by Deep Purple, and so I played that till people wanted to break the guitar. Went home. My sister had made an attempt at playing guitar, and so there was a guitar at home, a nylon string, so I picked that up and just fell in love with the guitar. So I think that following Christmas, I got a 12-string Yamaha acoustic, and which was great because it was hard to play, so it built my fingers up quicker.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I think actually possibly the following Christmas or something like that, I got my first electric, and I just fully dove into the guitar.
Very
I think
cool.
it was 11 or 12.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I know you had mentioned on your website that Pink Floyd was a big influence of yours and stuff. We were talking earlier about that. And
Yeah. Gilmore is, he's probably, top 5 at least. I started out, excuse me, when I first started playing, I loved Angus Young, AC/DC. That was it. My first guitar, my parents couldn't afford an SG, which is the kind of guitar he played.
Right, the Gibson.
So we went into this store called Band-Aid Music, I think it was, in Bellevue, Washington, and I saw a guitar that was shaped similarly, but it was a Yamaha, and it was one that Santana used to play in his early days.
Ah,
I said, okay, I'll take that one. So I got that for Christmas, and that was my first guitar. So learned a bunch of AC/DC stuff, and just kept going on. But I had an older sister and an older brother, especially my older brother, Steve. So I was 10 in '78, so I was young when he was bringing home Dark Side of the Moon and Led Zeppelin and all that stuff.
Right.
Bands like Head East, and so I got to know and to love and really appreciate that genre of stuff. And I just remember Dark Side of the Moon coming out of his room and thinking, like, what is that? So it's deep rooted into my soul. But as a guitar player, I really cut my teeth to the 80s stuff.
Right.
I was in high school and junior high. I was people like Tony McAlpine, which,
he's awesome.
those guys that had those just guitar tapes,
Right.
the biggest my favorite in high school was Iron Maiden for sure.
Sweet, me too.
I learned them all. I learned
That's
every
cool.
record up to Power Age or Power Slave, and then after that, Wasted Years was after that. So that's where I cut my teeth. But I still loved the old '70s stuff, and then Michael Schenker was a big thing. The live version of Rock Bottom solo was I learned that thing, and that was a big part of it too.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
I'm just smiling because I'm thinking of how Iron Maiden. Somebody handed me the like Pieces Live or whatever it is, you know, or what's their main tune off that one? There's Flight of Icarus. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The
Peace of Mind.
Trooper.
Peace of Mind record,
yeah, Peace of Mind. I mean, I was handed that, and it's like, this is pretty badass album.
Yeah, I love Maiden. Maiden's always been one of my favorites. So as far as heavy bands are concerned.
And they weren't like whittlers; they were blues-based solo guys, and
Good vocals, you know.
Cool vocals.
Vocals were really cool.
Great stories. Yeah. That's what I always loved about them.
which is cool.
Yeah. Love how they took old poems and stuff like that and turned them into songs and things like Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, for example, and things like that. You know.
Apparently, the guy had him do the intro to Number of the Beast so many times that he lost his voice or something.
Really?
Something like that.
I never heard that before. That's
Yeah.
great. So you mentioned Gilmore and Angus Young. Who were your other top five?
Page, as a guitar player, but also just as a producer and songwriter. And then the band in its entirety was, I think, and will always be the greatest band ever. And people can argue that the Beatles are better and blah, 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 but it's a preference thing because the Beatles were obviously way ahead of their time.
Right.
Well, Led Zeppelin was also the only band that came along that actually knocked the Beatles out of first
Yeah.
in the Billboard charts and first place.
I'm curious if
Number one.
the Beatles had gone on longer, what there would be.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
But yeah, Zeppelin to me covered it all.
Yeah, you can wonder the same thing about Zeppelin too, though. I mean, if had they continued on,
I
See,
don't
stuff.
think that I would have wanted to see a 1980s Led Zeppelin.
no.
I'm glad.
what? I'm with you
although
on
I'm
that.
not glad
I'm
that Bonham
with you on
died,
that.
of course, but I'm
Right.
glad that they never went into the 80s. They will forever be the 70s Led
You
Zeppelin,
don't have
and
to-
I like it that way.
The sound didn't change to
Yeah.
reflect what you're hearing now, which is
Oh.
destroying everything you've done at this point. you know?
Yeah.
Although I love the Jimmy Page album, and he had Jason Bonham playing drums for him.
Which one?
That was the first one he did.
Not the
Page.
Firm.
No, it's just called
Just him?
Page. Yeah.
He was
Remember-
singing?
No, he had another singer. I can't remember his name and stuff, but it was just a.
So who did it? Who did "Addicted to Love"?
Addicted to Love.
Yeah,
Addicted
wasn't
to
that
Love.
Palmer.
Was that Robert?
Robert
Palmer?
Robert Palmer. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're way out there, bro.
Dude,
That's where I was at right now. I'm like,
I mean, it was a Robert, so it was,
yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, the singer he had on that sounded an awful lot like Robert Plant, but it was really good. And he had Jason Bonham playing drums with him
Okay.
and stuff. But then he did the Firm. I actually think he did the Firm before that.
With
And
Paul
that was
Rodgers
after the Firm that he did the
Okay.
the solo album that he did. It was just I think he just did the one album too.
Probably.
But it was really excellent. I saw him live in that concert, and he played Stairway to Heaven on his double neck. And he came out, and just him and his guitar, and the crowd was singing so loud you couldn't hear him play.
Really?
Wow.
He
But
stopped.
he did the whole song just him on the guitar?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool.
And he stopped and walked up to the mic and just shook his head. You could really tell the emotion in him and how moved he was by
Right.
that and stuff. And he was like, "Thank you so much," really humbled about it and stuff. It was a really cool moment. So definitely a cool thing. So any more questions for him?
Man, I mean, just thinking you played so many different places and played a lot of different gigs. I mean, you got any particular one that might be your favorite gig?
Yeah, I
played?
mean, obviously playing Woodstock was a big event. It was historic, the first one back. We were opening for Rush, so it wasn't really our gig, but we did Madison Square Garden for a couple of nights.
Nice.
That was pretty cool.
Heck yeah.
You know, there was festivals. I liked Summerfest, was one of my favorite ones. But there's lots of great gigs. There's just too many
Right.
to really
I guess
pinpoint them all.
anything that goes the other spectrum. I mean, something that wasn't so good, or a bad experience, or
Yeah, I mean, there's always bad gigs. There was actually in Florida, we played a gig, and we were going to play the gig, but it was such bad weather, lightning, and it just started dumping that
Right.
we decided not to play and left, and people just did not like that. They were throwing things at the bus and chasing us around. They did not like that because they had to stay out in the rain for like an hour, but
no, we'll be back.
it was a lightning storm. We're like, we gotta go. We
Yeah,
can't do
yeah,
it.
yeah. You can't really play in that. They don't understand that, man. It's
Are
like
there
the-
any songs that you are just tired of playing?
Well, I think we all kind of definitely go through a phase of, ugh, this again, you know, but
Yeah.
when you have a hit like Far Behind, you can't really be that, because that is such a unique experience to have a hit single, you know, and to have more than one with you, and Cover Me did pretty good.
Yeah.
But you know, you owe it to people to play it. But yeah, there were nights where I'm like, oh.
Those are the songs
Can
that
the
people
show be
heard
over?
that they fell in love with and opened them up to listening to other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you remove the first record, there is no tours, there is no band.
Yeah.
You know, the other records were good, I think, but
Great.
really it doesn't exist without the four of us in the beginning. That first record, it's really, that's what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. So how did Candlebox get its start?
Scott, our drummer, and Kevin were in a band called Uncle Duke, and their guitar player left, and so I came in. I had some idea, like Change, He Calls Home, Cover Me, and Arrow were some ideas that I had. So I came in and showed them. We started playing, and the bass player didn't fit. You know, he was like Billy Sheehan tap-on guy, and
Too
I
much.
just couldn't deal with that.
Take away from the song.
So we fired him and looked for a bass player, and Barty came along.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it's one of those things that if Barty had not been playing doom 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 doom, I would not have done the doom doom doom. You know, same with Far Behind, they wouldn't exist, you know.
Wow,
So
cool.
it's one of those cool things.
Yeah, absolutely. It's cool how that stuff works out.
Mhm.
So how involved were you in the writing process of all this stuff?
Pretty heavily on that
Yeah.
first one. I mean, all of them really, but that
Right.
first one, I feel like we all were, of course, but I feel like I was so like ready to go that I just took everything and went home and finished this and
Right.
came up with that. But
That's
again,
cool.
they wouldn't exist without the other members.
Yeah, very
That
cool.
brings me to, out of all the songs you wrote, which is your favorites?
On the first record, or all of them?
All of them.
Well, I don't know. I mean, all of them probably, but one of my favorites is No Sense off of the first record, because it's very moody and it has kind of that Doorsy vibe.
Right.
Arrow, obviously, I mean, they're all have a special place. Mother's Dream is always fun to play live. 'Cause it's just got this evil power. There's too many. I like them all. If I had to play one for the rest of my life, I don't know if I could make that decision.
You wrote
That's good.
Breathe Me In.
I love that one.
I love that song.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful song.
That intro is not the very first original one, but we were all sitting in the live room and our producer was on the keyboard and we were just playing and we just had this 10-minute jam and we were like, oh my God, that's so cool. So we decided to do another one and record it and merge our way into the actual song.
Right.
Right.
So that intro is just us kind of hanging out. Just was, okay, here we go. So he started on the keyboard and we all came in and it's just us jamming, you know.
That's cool.
Nice.
I listened to a whole song of just that intro.
Yeah, me too. I love doing it live too. It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great how that stuff happens and magic that happens and you get to capture that in the studio.
Well, speaking of that, you know, you and Far Behind are the actual demos
Are they really?
remixed for the record. We
Wow.
re-recorded them, and I was just like, those are not nearly as good. Sonically, they probably were. Performance, maybe, but it didn't have that thing.
So what everybody hears is that, you know, is that what was presented, or is that what you ended up with?
What's that?
You know, like you know, Far Behind, for example. I mean, what we hear on the radio, is that how it was originally presented?
That's the original demo recording that we did.
Okay.
Wow,
And we
that's
were
awesome.
like, it just was too good. We captured something.
Yeah, obviously.
So we remixed them and blended them in with the rest of the record.
Cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
You got some timeless riffs in that too, man. I've been humming that all day. It's been in my head.
I'm going to be honest. Today is the first time I heard, I guess it's the B-side of You, Pull Away.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. I
one of
didn't
my
even know it
favorites.
existed
Yeah.
until today.
It's one of my favorites too.
It's awesome.
So after Candlebox, you did Red Light Music. Was
Yeah.
Or was that like during Candlebox, obviously, or?
No, it was just got to the point where it was just Kevin and I. We decided to go different ways, and he
Okay.
went and did something. And so I was
You were singing on
I
it.
was flailing and decided I got sober. Decided I wanted to do music again. So I got together. I had done some stuff. I'd moved to California. I did some stuff, and I was dabbling in singing, but I couldn't sing. I was doing more of this kind of Pink Floyd thing, right? So I went home and got my act together, met the guys that ended up being Red Light Music. And so we got a rehearsal space, and I've never written more music in a short span of time than I have with those guys.
Nice.
And so I started singing just because. And then I was like, man, I don't want to sing, you know. So we started looking for a singer, and ended up we just couldn't find one that fit. So I decided I would take some lessons and learn how to do it.
I gotta say, man, I've been listening to that the last couple of days, and I'm pretty impressed, man. It sounded
Yeah.
great. It sounded fantastic. So
Thank you.
I'm surprised. Is that the only project you've been in that where you're actually doing the lead vocals?
Yeah.
Yeah. Should do some more. It's good.
Well, I have a record that's kind of like half done.
Yeah.
And I keep opening up the sessions and thinking, you know, I dabble in it and put little parts, but I just don't want to do it myself. I want to find a producer that's willing to come in and really help me finish it, because, you know, it'd just be nice to have someone else kind of direct you. So that
Sure.
instead of like being the guy that has to record it, perform it, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I can get that for sure. So especially now that you've got your own studio and you're, of course, you've been working in studio for quite some time, haven't you?
Not really. I mean, I've dabbled in it over the years.
Yeah.
This is the first time that I actually really have my own place where I
Right,
can
right.
have
Nice.
clients in and things like that.
So how long did Red Light Music last?
Well, we put the record out in 2005. That Christmas, Kevin and I got together and decided we should give it another shot. So we got back together and toured, and started in 2006. Toured, and it came about because Rhino was going to put out a greatest hits record for Candlebox. They had the right to do it.
Right.
Mm.
So I said, well, maybe we should just call it the best of, because it's not like we had a billion hits to put on a record, you know? So why don't we just figure this out and tour on this record and see how it goes? So we did, and it was fun, and ended up continuing.
Very cool.
Nice.
So after that, was it Lotus Crush that came after Red
Yeah,
Light Music?
Kevin had done a project with the guys in Live. So I had
Very
run
cool.
into Terry McDermott, who was in a band called Drive Blind that toured with us that first year back.
Right.
He had heard the Red Light Music stuff, liked it.
He was on The Voice too, right?
He was later on.
Okay.
So I said, well, let's go do a record. So he came up to my house. I had kind of a studio set up there in Washington. We did the first record there. And then I went back to Candlebox, and he went to do the voice. And then we came back in 15 and did a second record.
Okay,
Nice.
very cool. And then after that was the Apollo Under Fire. Correct?
Apollo Under Fire was guys here, and we had done a benefit show for Johnny Damon in Orlando, I think, or maybe it was here. And I had met the singer from a band called I Empire that was also on the bill. And he had been in a band called Submersed back in early 2000. Our wives said, you guys need to hook up. So we eventually got together, and he said, Pete, I've got these songs that don't fit what I'm normally doing. And then I want it to be more soulful and acoustic based and songwriter stuff. I said, great, I'll help you out. And so we got together, and it just clicked. So we found a drummer.
Cool.
He knew of a drummer. And then Adam Curry, who's currently in Candlebox, actually did the bass duties for us on that record.
Nice.
So we wrote the record, recorded it, sent them off to Adam. He sent them back, and it was amazing. I find myself listening to the bass all the time because he just did such a great job. So we put a record out.
cool.
Excuse me. And then, of course, the industry is just impossible. So
Yeah.
the singer moved, the bass player moved, and that was that.
Yeah. It's always a shame when that happens. So
Yeah, it was a good
yeah, so
record, too.
you've seen some pretty big transformations in the industry over the years since Candlebox came out. and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, people were buying cassette tapes back then.
Right. Yeah.
Cassette tapes got
Yeah.
caught in
That
the
just
car.
sounds funny. Tapes.
Or, yeah, exactly.
I still have tapes. I have a box of
Yeah?
tapes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I found a box of blank tapes going through boxes. I thought,
Are
wow.
they blank?
They're blank tapes that you would use to make mixtapes or record songs.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Still packaged.
Like the slow
All right,
jams.
well, now you're good to go there.
TDKs, 90-minute
It's-
tapes.
Yeah.
It's in the center point. I don't know what's on it.
So you can send people home with them from your studio. Here you go.
Yeah, here's a
Take this-
relic.
Yeah, take this tape home. So how was it coming up in the Seattle scene with Candlebox?
It was amazing.
Had
you
been a
know.
pretty exciting time for you and stuff.
It
with
was.
everything
The
that
whole
was
city was
blowing up.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the bands before us broke down the door.
Yeah, for
allowed
sure.
us to get a deal because it brought
Oh, yeah.
attention to Seattle. So
Yeah.
I appreciate those bands to high heaven. But we all as musicians were ready to go when our chance was put there, and we had good music, so we were able to stand above all the other acts and get a deal, and the rest is history. But yeah, I remember just you could go out any night of the week and there would be something cool going on with some cool band,
Nice.
Right.
No, it
Like-
wasn't just one venue doing that. It was multiple venues. back
There
in
were,
the day.
yeah, there were, but the Off Ramp and the Rock Candy were the two that were prominent, at least from what I remember. There were others too, but those were the most fun, put it that way.
Right. Cool.
Plus, you could go to the Off Ramp and see a band and get some drinks, and then literally walk down the street around the corner, and there was the Rock Candy right there.
Cool.
So you know what I mean. So
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
cool. Just the whole thing was cool. It was like everybody felt the rush and the glow and just
That's
the
time to
vibe
hang
was.
out.
It was just cool. Yeah, I
That's
feel
very cool.
very fortunate to have been a part of that.
We had something similar to that here in Tampa at the time with the Rocket Club and ML Chasers that were going on. I think you guys played the Rocket Club.
Isn't
before.
like the Brass Mug famous for the metal bands
yeah,
back
they
in the
are.
day?
Yeah. Still going
I was
today.
gonna
Still
Still
there.
are, yeah.
It's
Still
amazing
Yeah,
to me.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were famous because Tampa Bay area was known for the death metal scene.
And the
Capitol.
Morris Brothers were that was the studio for all
okay.
the
More
Yeah.
sound.
More Sound.
Yep.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, that's owned by Trans-Siberian Orchestra now.
Yeah, no,
so,
it's a shame.
yeah.
Not that they own it, but the
Right,
Morris
right.
Brothers. you
Yeah.
know,
No, I got
which
you.
Yeah.
those guys are really nice. I know them.
Yeah, they were great.
Little
That definitely had a big change in the scene today with people having programs that they can record stuff in their homes.
Yeah, it's weird.
It really changed the recording industry a lot, and as far as studios are
it
concerned.
killed a lot of studios.
Yeah,
Streaming's killed a lot of bands. I mean, it's a love-hate. It's a yin-yang. It's a positive, negative. You have, just like the internet, like the information is there for you, but it's almost a death sentence for both. You know, it's just, I don't know. It's a love-hate thing. But I think people are starting to come around again to where they don't want to be in their bedroom or basement. They want to go into a recording studio and experience the vibe of, you know, doing that again.
Yeah,
That
there's a
other
totally
person
different
touch,
vibe.
though, you know, you got somebody else that can that can tweak your stuff. You know, you're not like sitting home going, I'm going to make it better. I'm listening to YouTube, trying to get advice and stuff. We're talking about going into somewhere that somebody actually has experience doing that.
Right.
You know, I think that's much better.
Yeah, so how did you end up in Tampa Bay and get your studio going?
A friend, became a friend who had opened up for Candlebox. I had been deciding where to go. I wanted to get out of Seattle. He's like, well, Pete, why don't you come to Tampa? You know, and he was able to move us down here, so we took him up on the offer.
Cool.
And that's why we're here.
Very cool.
And I love it. It's great.
Yeah, City Session Sound.
Yes.
That's what it's called. Yeah.
That's the studio that I have.
Yeah. How'd you get that started?
Well, JD Thunder, the Jamesy, he.
Yeah, thanks to JD, by the way, for hooking us up with this interview tonight.
Yeah, he. I had reached out on Facebook, like, because we were having a second child, and I needed to get my stuff out of the house. Right. Plus, I wanted a place to go and make music. He said, well, Pete, I've got this great rehearsal space. Come check it out. So I went down there and checked it out and was like, this place is a disaster. No thanks, man.
It really was before you came
Oh
along.
my gosh. It just was like 10 years of rehearsal space. You know what I mean? Like junk everywhere. It smelled like beer and cigarettes. I'm like, I don't think so. But I kept going back, and I kept seeing what I could do with it.
Right.
And I finally said, okay, let's do it. But I've got to, we got to clear all this stuff out of here. And I literally, for a couple of months, bought cleaning products and sprays to deodorize the place. Literally, because the whole thing is industrial carpet, floors, walls, not the ceiling, but so this is soaked up years of cigarette smoke. So I'm spraying every inch of this carpet on the floor, on the walls, and finally I've got it to where it doesn't stink, and it's a cool vibe, And James is great. I love him. His bandmates are cool. They rehearse at night. I usually work during the day, so it works out really well.
Yeah. You told me you've been helping them record an album recently.
We did 2 songs with his latest band, Negative Split.
Yeah.
And they're cool, man. They've got great music. And it was a good project. It was fun to do. And, it's cool. They're going to put it out pretty soon. I'm still tweaking one of the mixes because it has to be right.
Yeah, I've been talking to them about coming in on the show and stuff, and we'll
You should have
play
them.
some of that stuff when they get it.
They're good people.
Get it done, so it's a good thing. Awesome. Anything you got coming up in the future? You still working with Lotus Crush?
No, Terry's off doing his thing. Everybody's kind of scattered, but we always tease about doing some writing and things like that. He put a record out. He's trying to do a solo thing. He was just in the UK. But you never know. But the studio's actually had some work lately, so
nice.
So is that what you're putting a lot of effort into right now as a studio?
That's what I want to do.
Okay, cool.
That's what my love is being in a studio. I like to mix. That's my favorite.
Do you have any other hobbies or play any other instruments?
No. These days, but the younger generation, they learn everything.
Right.
Yeah.
They learn all the instruments.
I know, it's crazy.
Back when I was doing it, it's like, I'm going to be a rock guitar player. Well, I'm going to be a drummer. I'm going to sing. You know what I mean? But they know everything, and it's like, they're insane. But no, I don't. That's my one thing.
Still not as cool as we are.
The kids?
No, they're not.
Well,
you know all those things, and you master none of them.
I was just going to say, it's kind of better to just have one thing and master that than to spread it all around.
I don't know, some of those guys out there, man, monster musicians.
There's definitely
But back
some
then, it was like that guy was the freak. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Right.
Not in a negative way, but like freak of nature,
Yeah, the
talent.
guy
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Does it all.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, who are you? Where did you come from?
Yeah.
Right.
Nowadays, it's like they all can do everything.
Yeah.
There's two guys at the building where I'm at, and they go by Danny and Alex, and they can both play keyboards, drums, guitar, bass, sing. They do it all.
And
So they
do
just
it all
literally
well.
go in there, create a song, and release it all the time, constantly.
So, wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is cool. And they're really cool, too. I like them.
You're like, stop.
Making us all look bad.
Right, right.
Yeah, right.
So if you could put a band together, the ultimate all-star band with anybody, alive or dead, and with you playing in that band, who would be in that band?
Well, there'd be too many guitar players.
I knew that would
probably.
be a tough one. That's a tough one.
Oh, I don't know.
We love stumping people with
There's
that
no
one.
insulting people here, but let's just say the first particular CD you put out, it's got these.
Well,
guys.
I would ultimately, if you could just be a fly on the wall when Page mixed the song, Rain Song or something.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I would like that experience. I would like to play with Gilmore. Plant as a singer would be cool. I would also love to write a song with Rod Stewart, which would be really
That
cool.
would be really cool. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's too hard to answer. You got me stumped on that.
Yeah, we
No,
like
that's
to
a
stump
tough one, man.
Some people are like, I'm already in the band. We're like, that's a cool answer, but there's got to be somebody out there that you'd love to play with. So, very cool. You did on was it Red Light Music and Lotus Crush that you worked with Kelly Gray, right? In the studio with him.
Well, Kelly did our first two Candlebox records.
Oh, did he really? I
Yeah.
didn't realize that. So,
Those are the two mainly with Kelly.
Yeah. I know him from his work with Queensryche. And stuff,
Yeah.
so.
He didn't do Lotus. He did mix the first Lotus record,
Right.
but he didn't. Well, he helped me out with that one. But as far as official producer role, his real, achievement was the first and second record.
Yeah.
But he's the mad scientist in in Seattle. He's done pretty much almost every band
That's cool.
that exists. He's worked with them somehow.
Yeah.
He's the guy that will take anything and he's just got this mentality and this ear and just the way to make things sound better than they should.
Do you like mastering?
I'm starting to learn how to do it. I don't have outboard gear for it, but I'm starting to study plugins that will help me do that. So I want to get into that, but
Yeah,
I don't
mastering is-
officially do it.
Yeah, mastering's a whole nother beast on its own.
It is. It
Yeah.
really is. I use James Forbes out of Clear Tracks to do my
That's-
stuff.
Okay.
That's who I use too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
great.
he's really good.
Yeah.
So,
he's
Who was an
badass.
influence for you in your production with the studio stuff?
Kelly.
Was it Kelly?
Yeah, I mean, I learned most of my stuff from Kelly.
Yeah, I thought you might have. So I was
Watching him, all the, I wish that I would have been more into this back then. You know
Right.
what I mean? But it was like, I'm the rock star guitar player. I'm gonna go party, instead.
Sure.
But
Right.
I did fiddle around with it a little bit, but I should have and wish I could have or would have spent more time really learning that craft. Because I feel like now I have to do this crash course to catch up.
Yeah, no doubt. So, very cool.
I will say, since you said James Forbes, now I can say James Forbes kicks ass.
Yeah, he's a great guy,
He's
too.
awesome. He's awesome. Awesome to work with. And he's got credentials a mile long.
He gets it.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. So we've got a couple of videos that are going to be coming up in just a little bit. But right before we do that, let's find out what's happened with our show poll.
So, who is better? Which album is better from Pink Floyd? Dark Side of the Moon or The Wall? Well, I would have to say it's going to be a landslide. It's going to be a landslide at this point. Dark Side of the Moon, 62% compared to 38% The Wall. Now, I mean, okay, The Wall's got a movie and it's got awesome songs, but I'll tell you what, Dark Side of the Moon had feeling in it in all different ways, shapes, or forms. I mean, we're not just talking about like the little trippy instrumental, which was cool, but I mean, it had all these other songs that were just, I don't know, the emotion was there. I just thought that was just an awesome album.
Yeah, I think they're both, it was a real tough one. They're both incredible albums. Pink Floyd's just an incredible band all around. John Robbie said he grew up listening to The Wall, and he loved Roger Waters singing on that album, and the fact that they made a movie of it, so that made it a winner for him. But personally, I would select Dark Side of the Moon. Both of them, the movie was killer. The Wall is just historical, from the movie and the album itself, and even the tour that they've done for that and everything. But Dark Side of the Moon hits a historical landmark that no other album has ever hit, and that is longest lasting in Billboard 200 of all time. And it's going to be so crazy. Impossible for any other album to ever touch that. It's not even funny. Well over 900 weeks, and the closest was like 500.
Yeah, I mean, it's
slightly over 500.
Not even the same ballpark. And as soon as they found out that it dropped the 1 week,
right,
it was right back up
in there next week. Right, exactly. But it's just the sounds that they put into that album and everything. I mean, they actually did some recording in an insane asylum. And some of the background stuff that you hear is people in there that are just in a mental institution talking.
Really?
That's what I heard. That's what I heard. Yeah.
Probably research that a little more.
Yeah. Well, that's what I've heard. I
could have been at my family's Christmas party. I don't know.
But just
so
the album itself, though, just the way it rolls from one song to the next, and it just fits together. Gilmour had said that they just wanted to make just like one long song, almost basically, where there was just
did a lot of improv jams,
transition from one to the other and the other and stuff, and it just such a cool flow to that album, such a great timeless album. So,
agreed.
I definitely voted for that one. So,
what do you think, Ange?
I did too. I love The Wall, but Dark Side of the Moon, can't really beat that. You can't, because it does have a nice flow. I love the way that every song connects, and all of them can be interpreted in different ways too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The feel of the music, it's just, I don't know, I dig it.
Yeah, I mean, you got one song just flowing along, and then all of a sudden you hear this clock ticking in the background, and then it just flows right into time. Just it's so cool the way that transitions from one song right into the other. Such a perfect transition.
Pete, what do you think?
There's DVDs of classic albums. They're literally classic album series, and they have one on Dark Side of the Moon. I suggest you watch it because they go and talk to the band members, and they sit in front of the console, and they'll solo up the female singers in Great Gig in the Sky. So it's just insane.
That's cool.
Yeah, Dark Side of the Moon, hands down for sure. If I could edit out money, I would, just because it kills that flow. And they only did it because they needed a single back then. And I wish they was not on the record.
I'm with you.
Because then it would just flow and everything would just be so perfect. But that song's still pretty cool.
I was usually so stoned that by the time money came along, I was good with it. but seriously, no, I get what you're saying though. I mean, that one song just they all fit, but I mean that one song could have been pulled and it probably would have flowed a little bit better.
Yeah, I never really thought about it like that, but now that you mention it, I can see where you're coming from. It does seem like it's a little bit out of the realm of the rest of the album and stuff.
That's the only reason it's on there is because they needed a single.
Yeah, it makes
but
believe it.
that being said, the song's still cool.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's definitely-
Transition from
Definitely a cool song, no
signature.
question about it. So that's cool, man. Let's step into the spotlight and check out these videos. So rounding out the show tonight, we got a couple of videos for you. This is from a couple of Peter's bands, and this first one has C. Thomas Howell in it. And I gotta ask, how did you end up getting C. Thomas Howell? For
our
your video?
Scott McKinley, who was the guy at the label. I think he hired a publicist or something, and she knew him, and so they reached out to him if he would play this character.
That's cool.
And he said yes. So he came up to Seattle. We met him at the hotel and talked to him, and then they shot the video. We were just like, this is amazing.
Wolverines.
Yeah. Was it Stay Golden, Pony Boy?
Yeah, right. So what's
That's
the?
nice.
It's Hearts and Minds, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the song about?
It's, just how the media is always after your hearts and minds, and however they can get us to be influenced by that.
Cool.
Not the truth.
Look at that camera right there and introduce it, my friend.
Here is Hearts and Minds by Lotus Crush.
The following is a list of wanted criminals who represent the rebel forces and everything that's wrong with this country.
Sir, I have the documents you requested. The numbers are in the tens of thousands. I'll just leave these here for you to look at your leisure. I'll wait further orders.
From whom?
I beg your pardon, sir?
From whom will you await your orders?
From my commanding officer, Colonel Phillips.
Is that the answer your son would give me if I asked him the same question?
I do not speak to my son about my work, sir.
That's very diplomatic of you. We are at war, Officer Conroy. Every day, men and women give up their lives fighting against the foreign terrorist groups so that men and women like your son can live in peace and harmony. But your son is nothing like you. He doesn't take orders from the party. He takes orders from them. People that think they are more powerful, more just, and more compassionate than the party. So if he takes orders from those rodents who consider themselves leaders, I ask you, from whom do you take your orders?
From you, sir.
Do not forget who the enemy is. You're dismissed.
So you think that you're in control? We know you do. You can steer down the rabbit hole. We're staring back at you. We grant you freedom, but hold the chain. We keep our sights on you. Let our prescriptions to calm the rage. Slowly we will get through. And hey, you there, hiding in your holes. Your hearts and your minds are mine. And hey, you there, hey, you there. We are the razor upon the vein. We watch you sleep at night. Do as you're told and we'll paint your cage. While you live quite alive, we are the fear that keeps you
So there you have it, Lotus Crush, Hearts and
That was
Minds,
cool.
featuring
That was
C.
really
Thomas
cool.
Howell. Such a cool video, man.
Yeah.
I love it. I love how they were being chased and they run into the studio and you guys are in there jamming.
Yeah.
So
It was a good treatment they had for it.
yeah, it was really cool how they incorporated you into the video with that by doing that. That was cool. It's a little tough there when the lady was running up to you and stuff, and you're still trying.
They said, "Don't move, ignore them."
Yeah.
So we tried our best.
Second time I've done that.
Very cool. It's a cool experience, I'm sure. So,
Oh yeah.
out of all the videos you've ever done, what would you say is your favorite one?
Well, we never had a, celebrity come and be a guest on it. So I think as far as that goes, that's certainly the
cool.
coolest one.
Yeah.
Obviously Far Behind was a special moment in time. So.
Sure. Very cool. So the second video is from Apollo Under Fire and Gotta Believe. So tell us about that song as well.
Well, excuse me. It's really just about keeping your hopes up, and no matter what happens, you just got to believe that you can get through it and make it. Positivity.
Very cool. Yeah. Go ahead and introduce it, my friend.
This is Gotta Believe, lyric video by Apollo Under Fire.
Even though I live in daydreams, I don't feel like holding on. Yeah. We all know the pain of losing everything we've ever owned. The chill of a frozen stare, paralyzing fear. The heartache seems to never end. Yeah. Even though I live in daydreams, I don't feel like holding on. Yeah, but I gotta believe my days aren't over. Gotta believe the sun will shine sometime. Gotta believe this rain can cleanse my pain. Stand before a brand new light. Yeah, I gotta believe. We must face this fear of failing with the will to overcome. Many candles shining brightly, though they were all lit from one. Mirrors of faceless crowds, bound by the sound of our lives as they pass us by.
Under Fire, Gotta Believe. Love the
Very
logo.
cool.
It's
Very
a cool,
nice.
very cool logo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
When
is.
they showed it to me, I thought, oh, that's perfect.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So you're saying that's the first album that you've actually fully produced and recorded and mixed and everything?
Yep.
So nice.
Yeah.
Sounds
it
good, man.
It
Sounds
was a
good.
lot of
Really good.
work,
Good
but I
stuff.
loved
Really
every
good.
minute of it.
Yeah, that's killer.
Very cool.
So we're going to be doing another one here. We're going to close out the show. Actually, it's going to be the very last thing of the show,
Cool.
which is your Red Light Music, Say It Again. So before we get into closing things out, why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
About the band or just the video?
Yeah, a little bit of both.
Yeah.
The song.
It's kind of like I got together with the guys, like I told you earlier, and we just couldn't find a singer, so I just kind of did it, and we did the record. We had done shows around town, and our manager at the time said we got to have a video, so we put together a show at Numos and shot that video, and it turned out pretty good. It was a fun show too. It's one of our bigger shows.
Cool.
Yeah, it looked like a cool turnout in there and stuff.
It was
People
fantastic.
were really getting into it.
Yeah,
and stuff,
it was cool.
So what's the song about? Say it again.
It's just kind of about different cultures, and it's hard to explain, and I kind of like to leave that one for the audience to interpret themselves.
One of those songs where it's like your interpretation, whatever it means for you.
I just want that one to be left alone because it's more of a
totally
poetic
get
one
it.
than the rest of them.
Yeah,
Totally get
yeah,
it.
definitely get that. Very cool. Well, thanks so much for being here tonight, man.
Thank you for
very
having me.
much.
I
Thanks for
appreciate
your
it.
patience
Sure.
and stuff. You were very patient with the issues we were having earlier, and we really appreciate that and stuff. So I also want to thank Bake More Pies for having us here at the studio and letting us do this show. If you're interested in doing videos here, they're also a marketing company that can help you market your firm, your company, whatever you have going on online. Great equipment, great studio, great people, and thank them so much. Chords is really awesome. Everybody here is awesome. And if you're looking to do a show similar to ours or something of your own that you have, the studio is available for rent. So come on down here and check them out, and you can find out more about them at bakemorepies.com.
So coming up next week, Tuesday, March 19th, we have an interview that we got at Full Throttle Motorcycle Expo. That was a few weeks ago. 12-year-old drummer. I mean, this guy was awesome. I mean,
He's a great
Jonathan
kid.
rocks.
He rocks too.
Yeah,
He does.
he does.
He seriously rocks.
I remember, showing up, and you guys were already there, and you're already talking to him, and I'm just hearing this thundering drums, drum parts and everything, and all of a sudden I look to see it's a 12-year-old kid.
That is
Very
awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So
His favorite drummer is Nico McBrain from Iron Maiden.
Oh, really?
He's
That's
No, yeah.
great.
killing Maiden and stuff like that.
Yeah,
It's
that's
just
awesome.
great.
So we're going to be talking to him. We also have our interview with Jeff Scott Soto,
Oh, yeah.
singer Yngwie Malmsteen, TSO, Sons of Apollo, and of course Soto. The interviews that we got at Full Throttle, we're going to have those too, aren't we?
Yeah, Love and Revenge and Jasmine Kane, they're going to be coming up on the show here real soon as well. So we got
Cool.
a few of those in the bag. So be sure to tune in for those. And be sure to visit our website, thesoundeffectshow.com, where you can see previous shows and find out about what's coming up on our show calendar. You can find out about all that stuff there. While you're there, be sure to click on the links to visit our social media pages, add us, like us, subscribe. Thank you for watching. Pete, thanks again for being in here. Appreciate you,
pleasure.
man. Thanks so much. We will see you on next week's show. And closing out tonight, Red Light Music, and Say It Again. Have a good night. Thanks.
Thanks for watching.